This gentleman, Mr. Lutnick, who we've been talking about, Commerce Secretary, you'll recall ancient history now, he engaged in massive treachery, according to many of his colleagues, during the transition, where he was head of the transition, co-head of the transition, tried to make himself Treasury Secretary. He was blocked by many people, not just because he tried to pull a Cheney, but because people did not want him to be Treasury Secretary. He negotiated for commerce, but he also negotiated to be the tariff czar from commerce. That prize may turn out to be a booby prize because, as you can see from this Politico story headline and embedded within that Wall Street Journal story, both out today and widely read in the West Wing and elsewhere, Lutnick is being blamed for his public statements. I don't think his rivals do not think he's particularly good at talking about the economy, and for not driving a rational and productive and effective tariff gauntlet. So, Dan, is Lutnick going to be fired, or is too close to the president?
I think he's going to be fired this quickly. But look, his greatest asset is his greatest weakness, which is he's incredibly blunt and tough talking. And when he starts saying things like, we may have a recession, but it's worth it, that is not something that the White House, I mean, that's just not good. Then the president has to kind of try to clean that up, or he's going to be asked about it. Members of the Hill are going to be asked about it. And so I think so far, Lutnick doesn't do nuance very well at all. And I think, when he was at Cantor Fitzgerald, they were known to be one of the roughest places to work. They were very tough. Lutnick was very brash. He did a lot of amazing things. And there's a great story post 9/11. But I think he's going to have to kind of cool it a little bit in this notion that, like, who cares if we have a recession? Who cares if there's pain? We got to do this. That is not a winning political message.
Sean, that Politico story with the knives out, they say they talked to like 12 people who trashed Lutnick. That would have been par for the course in Trump 1.0. That is unusual here. So why are the knives out for him, and will the knives nick him or kill him?
Well, you're right. I mean, that would have been like, a story before 8 a.m. During my tenure.
Yeah.
I think, look, I think that Howard speaks very bluntly. There's no question about that. But I also think the president, he appreciates, he is his sort of like attack dog. He goes out there. The president appreciates, I get it. I haven't asked the president this personally, but from past experience, I think he appreciates the fact that whatever policy is, Howard will go out there and fight like hardcore for it. And that's, I think, very well appreciated inside the president's inner circle, is people who will do that. And so as long as he's on the right side of the president, and generally speaking, I think Howard has a very good sense of where the president's head's at. He's not going to just go out there and freelance. So he spends a lot of time with him. He's very close to him. I don't think everybody might not like it, but that's very different than not being in sync with the president. So the president, I think, probably loves this. Some other people may not, but he's just an extension of what the president's saying.
Well, palace intrigue is not of as much fascination is to me as it is to others. But this is a guy who's the czar on what is now one of the two or three central policy tracks of the administration. So, Sean, I'll just stay with you. Why do you think so many people have the knives out for him? Are they jealous?
Because I think part of this is they expect, like, Trump 1.0. The president goes out there and says something, and then his aides come back and say, don't worry, we're going to stop him from doing this. And I think Howard and obviously Scott and Scott Bessent and Kevin Hassett, but much less vocally and bluntly, are all on the team. I mean, last time you could go to a Gary Cohen or a Steve Mnuchin, and I'm not by any means impugning them, but I'm just saying that they would say, okay, I got it. I hear you. Let me go walk this back a little, or try to, and that's not what's going on now. It's a different version. This administration is not a bunch of people who are trying to slow walk the president.
And but Sean, that's not what these stories are saying. They're saying that Bessent and Hassett are not fully on board with this. It sounds like others, some of the senior staff, don't like how far out over his skis he's going. Correct. So, I mean, that doesn't. It sounds like there is a divergence of opinion about how much he's freestyling Lutnick.
And look, a la Elon the other day, I think if Howard gets out over his skis a little, there'll be a level set where it comes back in and says, all right, hey, I know you're trying to help, but from what I can tell, there seems to be an appreciation that he's willing out there going out. So that, and yes, once in a while you go too far or you dial it, you take it to 10 when it should have been at 5. But generally speaking, I think there's an appreciation for the fact that the team is trying to sell the president's policies and not obstruct it.
So you don't think these stories are the team floating to Trump and Lutnick?
Oh, no. I do. Yeah. 100%. This is your way of trying to communicate with Trump, which is, look, he's not helping you. I mean, and then somebody prints it off and happens to leave it on the Resolute desk or in the dining room. Yeah, I've seen that. That's how that works, right? It's not like he's reading Politico. It's somebody plants the story, prints it off, puts it in the library, in the small dining room so that he sees it and says, look, wow, Howard's screwing you. But I think that by default, the president, my guess is, sees what Howard's doing on TV and appreciates the fact that he's fighting for.
All right. Before we move to our next topic, mandatory prediction. Who will be in their job longer, Bessent or Lutnick? Who will be in their job longer? Dan.
Bessent.
Scott. Sean.
I will agree, but I don't think it's for negative reason. I think it could be a really close. I mean, I could see both of them going the full 4 years.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to pick who would, I think Bessent stays longer, but I don't think that's because I think there's an element of choice in there, not Trump, not like Trump pushing someone out.
Or does Lutnick try to become Treasury Secretary? Yeah.
Lutnick becomes development czar by Halloween. You heard it here first.
Wait, all right. Like Interdevelopment Bank?
The head of the fund.
World Bank?
The sovereign fund.
Head of the sovereign fund. He'll become head of the sovereign.